Welcome to another lesson with Mark Plappert. This week I decided to go 4-string instead of my old 5-string. Hopefully this will help a lot of people who start off on with the 4-string rather than with the 5-string. But I know last week I went over major scales, minor scales, went over some pretty basic stuff as far as just getting down the information to play itself. Now, as far as knowing how to play. Now down to some of the basic mechanics of actually playing. Went over making sure you have a good solid place. When I am playing, I like to have a nice solid place to rest my thumb. That way I can build up the muscle memory to where all the strings are and not have to look down so often and be able to play through it so much easier. That it keeps my hand from slipping around too much when I play. That way I'm not landing at awkward angles or anything. It's all really about just having that safe muscle memory to help you play a lot better. Now, as far as with your left hand, now this is the tricky part, because with your left and right hands are going to be involved in this. Now, whenever you start playing, you play multiple notes on top of each other, especially with the bass amp. It's really going to start to layer on top of each other, get more and more muddy, and just become a lot harder to hear where the real bass note is. So one thing you need to make sure you're doing as you're passing from note to note is make sure you're muting the string right before it. And there's a couple different ways you can do that. And you don't have to like grip the string like that. No, you just need to rest your finger on it, and that'll settle down the vibrations. You can do that with either your left hand or your right hand, either way. If you're passing from a string above to a string beneath, one good way to mute is when you're going from, say you're going from your, I have to go lower down, you're from your G to your C here. One thing to do is you press down here. Now with your right hand you're strumming. Then when you go down to using your left hand, you're going down to the string beneath that. You've already strummed that top string, so now you go, it's like a quick double tap, so mute the top string and pluck the bottom string. So it ends up being and notice with this finger here, I'm not actually like gripping it to stop the vibrations. I'm just merely resting my finger against it, pulling a little bit, giving a little bit of leeway so it helps stop the vibrations, which will then give you a lot clearer notes as you're playing all the way through. You can also sometimes, instead of doing that, sometimes you can just merely do what I just did here. You can go from this note, and all I'm really doing is, instead of moving this finger down, is taking this finger, and as I'm playing, play the string just beneath that, and right as you're doing that, lifting this finger up just slightly so where it's resting on there, but it's not actually like pressed down to where it's gonna make a resounding note. Instead, it's gonna stop the vibrations, which is what you really need to do, because that's what keeps the sound from getting all garbled up. And that's definitely something to practice with. There's a couple of different ways to do it. Any way you do it, and you feel comfortable doing it, is how you should do it. Because some people really feel comfortable doing it with their left hand. I feel a lot more comfortable doing it with my right hand, because I don't have to worry so much about where the next note's going to be. That I can do with my left hand easy. So it really all kind of builds on top of each other as you're playing through. Another thing to worry about then as you're actually playing live is going to be the dynamics of how you're playing. You start off nice, easy, and light. If you're playing, what's a good easy song? Something like, I don't know, You Made a Way by Travis Green. You go, you made a way, and our backs were against the wall, and it looked as if it was over. With that, you're playing nice, easy, light notes. You're not doing anything too difficult. When you get more into, like, say, the bridge of You Deserve It, and you start off and you're just going, hallelujah, 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 all the glory, all the honor, all of the praise, sing all the honor, all of the praise. With that, you're really digging in when you play. Just digging right in there with your finger, with your right hand here. Also making sure on top of that you have a good solid left hand, because if you're playing super hard with your right hand and your left hand here isn't holding down that note nice and solid, it's gonna come out. You hear the little zzz in there as I was just playing it. If you're not solid, that's the note that's gonna end up coming out. Whereas if you're nice and solid, you play it, hold it good. Get a bit more of a solid note in there, which keeps things a lot clearer, makes that bass note more defined, and gives the rest of the band a good solid platform to build off of. And it definitely helps your piano player as well, because a lot of times piano players are worried about where their left hand's going on the bass notes of the piano. And so you filling in that bass line nice and solid is really allowing them to kind of let up on that and play a lot lighter, a lot easier, giving them more focus to play with their right hand, which gives way to a lot cooler chords, a lot just fun stuff that you can do together as a band, and it sounds amazing once you get all that down. And it all starts with the bass player having a good solid foundational note. A couple other things to remember as you're playing mechanics wise is when you're playing, you're going to be matching the kick drum basically from the drummer. If they're driving the song and they're going hallelujah, hallelujah from You Deserve It, be hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Whereas if you go to it's a lot slower song. Break Every Chain. There is power in the name of Jesus. Can't remember the notes right now. There is power in the name of Jesus. There's power. Oh boy, for now I can't even hear myself playing really. And you build up, of course, as the kick drum goes. Rising up. There's an army rising up. Which, of course, as you get faster, I gotta keep reminding myself sometimes to always hold that note tighter, because the more forceful you get with the string with your right hand, the more force is going to be coming against your left hand here as well. So always try to remember that. Another thing to remember as you're playing bass guitar, you are going to be the driving force. You can match the kick drum, but you can also set the pace for the kick drum. If it's a more driving song, if the kick drum's not driving, you start driving. The drummer should, after hearing that, be following your lead after that, because it's all a matter of getting just the right amount of drive in there, depending on the song that you're singing. And that, of course, comes to knowing your music and knowing where you fit in that song. Sometimes the bass is going to be loud and proud, right front and center with all the cool riffs and things like that. Other times, especially if you get more into contemporary music, it's not going to be so ardent, it's not going to be so bold and big. And that's about it for this week. Next week we'll be coming back with a couple bit more advanced playing tips, things to help improve you as you play. And hopefully you enjoyed this. Give us a like and subscribe. Thank you very much. God bless.